Hello, ma'am. It is a pleasure to meet you once again and also to have you in our program Morning Echoes. As we know that we are observing the World Mental Health Day today. Kindly share with us the importance of this day and also some of the factors that lead to the cause of this mental health and also the need to take care of it. So to begin with the first question, what is the significance of this World Mental Health Day and what is its importance?
Hello, Senti. It's indeed lovely to be back here with you again. Thank you. And yes, it's great that today we are meeting on World Mental Health Day. The significance, I would say, is basically a very similar significance to we celebrate Father's Day, we celebrate Mother's Day. But does that mean that's the only day we respect them or revere them? No. It is just a sort of a reminder, a sort of a mental check that, yes, there is someone who's very important to us in our lives. Very similar is the significance of the World Mental Health Day. This is something that needs to be a part of our daily lives. However, today we are dedicating this day to specifically talk about it and make sure that if any of us has put it sort of on the back burner, let's bring it up and talk about it. That it is.
Also, ma'am, there has been misconceptions concerning about mental health. So, according to you, what could be some of these common misconceptions or stigmas surrounding mental health, and also how can we work to break down these barriers?
Senti, when we talk about stigmas surrounding mental health, I think one of the major stigmas is that we don't want to talk about it. Somewhere in our minds, we feel that if we don't talk about it, probably that's the best way to stay safe from it. That talking about it might bring something on, right? However, it is actually completely the other way around. So with mental health, what we need to understand is mental illness is preventable to a very, very large degree. However, what helps prevent is one of the major things that helps towards prevention is awareness, knowledge about mental health, right? Another of the stigmas associated with it is most of us think, oh, nothing can happen to me. I'm okay. However, we need to understand that every single human being can. It doesn't mean you will. However, to understand it, just like any of us can get the flu, right? It doesn't mean we will. Similar is with mental illness. That just by the fact that we are human, we can get mentally ill. All right? So none of us is really immune from it. Fine. And one more very essential one to understand is we fear mental illness, thinking that once we contract a mental illness, that's it. However, it is important to understand that all mental illnesses are treatable. However, like any other illness, the sooner we seek help, the faster and more complete our treatment and our recovery can be. The more we hide it or delay seeking help, the longer our treatment process will be, the longer we will have to suffer and struggle with it. So these three main things. Anyone can get it, it is preventable, and it is all treatable.
Can individuals and communities actively participate in improving mental health and also support those who may be struggling from it?
Senti, this is a very, very relevant question that you have asked. So in fact, we have to understand that most of us till date, our mental health struggles are a very lonely place to be because, we kind of keep it to ourselves, keep all our struggles to ourselves. We rarely are able to disclose them to others. However, it is important for us to understand that actually mental health is supposed to be a community effort. It is not supposed to be an individual's problem. Okay, so definitely a community at large has a huge role to play in mental health. So whether it is our workplace, whether it is our educational institutions, our schools, our colleges, whether it is our churches, every bit contributes towards promoting good mental health. So what is the attitude of, let's say if we take up a school, that what is the attitude of the administration? How do the teachers approach this? How does the principal of the school approach issues related to mental health? Directly contributes to the mental health of the students themselves. The same goes for the workplace. So most of us think that it's, an individual's own effort. Please, you are responsible for your own mental health. Of course you are. But our mental health is directly affected by what we call our social environment. And our social environment is the community we are in, whether it is my workplace, whether it is my school, whether it is my neighborhood, whether it is my tribe, how people react to me, how they accept me. Each of it contributes to my mental well-being. And that is why definitely good mental health, promoting good mental health is and should be a community effort.
What could be some of the common mental health sickness that people usually suffers from, and what could be the factors that lead to the cause of it?
Senti, I'm glad you asked this question, because I think this is a question that many of our listeners would be wanting to ask too. A lot of people ask me this question, yes? People are curious about what are the different types of mental illnesses. This can be a very academic answer, right? So there are a plethora of mental illnesses that exist, right? Neurosis, psychosis, under these there are many types. Though of course nowadays there are certain terms which have become very common, which almost every person uses, and that is anxiety and depression. And especially in young people, we see them using these terms very freely, that I'm depressed or I have anxiety issues. All right. So they have become less of terms associated with mental illness and more of terms that almost everyone seems to be experiencing. Yes. So to understand this, and before I explain this, I would like to answer the second part of your question, where you said, what could be the factors leading to these, right? So when we say what are the factors, sometimes we are looking for that, if people who have family problems, they are, that can lead to mental illness. Or students who struggle with academics, let's say, they are the ones, all right? Or people who have relationship issues, they have mental health issues. But that's wrong. That's a misconception that we have. Because look around you and you'll see that there might be those people who have very serious family issues. They come from a broken home. They're undergoing serious relationship issues. And yet they seem to be keeping it together. They don't seem to be having any mental health issue, right? So how does that happen? And yet there might be another who seemingly, we felt that, but that wasn't such a big problem. And why did that person end up sometimes taking the extreme steps, such as even committing suicide, which is, we say, the worst and the extremist level of someone undergoing mental health issues, right? So today, let's take time to understand. See, it is something like when we clean our houses, we, let's say, dust our place down. Right? So there's a little tiny piece of dust that comes in. Let's say I don't remove it, then or a little grain of sand. Okay. If I don't remove it, over time, there'll be more grains of sand that will come and stick to it. And over a long period of time, that might end up turning into a tiny little hill, and it might actually grow into a mountain. And when we say, where did it all start from? It started from a tiny grain of sand, which was meaningless. Right? So similar are our life problems. All of us have problems in life at every age, at every point in life, right? Those problems could be something like, I'm struggling with because my sister's not talking to me. I'm upset about that. Another person could be, which we say, is this such a big deal? This is not a mental health issue, is it? This is a commonplace problem. My father got angry with me today, and so I'm upset. Or someone else, I was unable to finish my homework and I'm upset. Very minor things. Those are the little grains of sand. Okay. And if we dust them off on a daily basis. So if on a daily basis you visit things that are bothering you and find ways to, what we say, mentally process them and get them over with. There's no residue for other things to build up on. However, some of us make the mistake of allowing these things to stay within us. That this tiny little thing that's bothering me, and I say, I shouldn't talk to anyone about it. It's okay. It's such a small thing. I don't need to bother about it. Right? And I just brush it aside. And then another tiny little issue comes on. And then another tiny little issue comes on. And these tiny little issues are little grains of sand sticking onto each other. And over time, there reaches a point where there is so much inside me. I haven't shared it with anyone. I haven't even acknowledged it to myself. And there comes a point when it becomes too much to handle. And that leads to a mental health issue, right?
Yeah.
So it is not our circumstances or any particular thing that can be attributed as a factor that leads to mental health issues. It is actually about whether we are carrying on with a proper system of keeping our mind and our heart cleaned and dusted on a daily basis. That is what is more relevant.
What could be some of the signs and symptoms that we can identify in a person who is suffering from any of this mental sickness?
Senti, one of the best ways to identify, and this is not necessarily mental sickness, we need to understand that before any of us enter into the realm of mental sickness, before that we are at a stage where we are just too overwhelmed with our problems. Like what we say, too much of mental tension or very stressed out. Okay, so that person may not have entered into the realm of a mental illness. But if they are not given timely help, if they don't sort it out now, they can enter into mental illness. Okay? Fine. So now to answer your question, one of the easiest ways or the yardstick to use is if there is a sudden change in a person's demeanor or personality. So when I say sudden change, that means, let's say there's a person who tends to be introverted and doesn't talk too much, and suddenly he or she has become more gregarious and, too outgoing and so talkative. That's a change, all right? Or the other way around, let's say there's a person who's been so bubbly, chirpy, always talking, and now has suddenly become very quiet and withdrawn. Okay, so this is a change. So whatever the person naturally was, now there is a sudden change in their personality. Those are one of the first signs that to look out for. And that can be an indication of something going on in their mind, something going on inside their hearts that they need to be seeking help. All right, so this is one of the major ones. Otherwise, there are other things like what we say, if the person is unable to carry on their day-to-day work, whatever it is, at whatever age, at whatever place in life they are, right? All of us have some sort of what we say are normal day-to-day life duties, responsibilities. If the person finds themselves incapable of fulfilling them. So if a mother suddenly feels that just doing her daily chores like cooking a meal for the family is now becoming too tedious for her, and she just has, finds that, oh God, I don't have the energy to do that. That could be it. And in a student life, if the child feels that just waking up and going to school is too much of a task for me, that could be it, right? So this is what I mean, that if they're unable to carry on with their day-to-day responsibilities and duties, whatever they may be.
Okay.
And definitely one more major indication is change in appetite, in terms of either you're not hungry at all or you seem to be hungry all the time. Fine. And changes in sleep, sleep disturbances. If a person is finding it difficult, like everyone has a different sleep cycle. Some of us sleep for 4 hours and wake up fresh. Some of us need to sleep at least for 8 hours before we wake up fresh. Okay, but if there's a change in your sleep patterns, you're unable to sleep, you're unable to fall off to sleep, you're unable to stay asleep. These are again indications that there might be something happening inside you and that you need to seek help.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what are the key factors that contribute to good mental health, and also how can individuals incorporate this into their daily lives?
So, Senti, definitely. When we talk about factors that would contribute to good mental health, the first and the foremost definitely is what we just spoke about, our community contributing, right? So that actually is about awareness. How aware are we about mental health and related issues? How willing are we to talk about them openly? More importantly, awareness brings about an ability to understand when another person needs help. So good mental health is all about, at an individual level, being able to understand and identify that, okay, something is not wrong, maybe I need help. Or at times, maybe the individual themselves are not able to spot it. And that is where people around us can contribute, that they are able to see you and identify that something seems to be bothering you. Your stress levels have probably, gone beyond a point, and you probably need to talk it out. You need help. However, right? So I would say one of the major factors is what we say awareness. And for this, I like to use a word called mental health literacy. So how much of mental health literacy does your community have? How much of mental health literacy do you have? Are you literate when it comes to mental health? Okay, that's one of the key factors. And the next thing I would say is, there is something like mental hygiene too. So we can practice good mental hygiene. So every person, there are certain things at an individual level, at a personal level, that we can follow to ensure that we are able to maintain good mental health. Of course, there are so many things that we can do to maintain good mental hygiene. Here, I would like to focus on one, and that is make time for yourself. Each of us needs to be in touch with ourselves. And sometimes it sounds like almost like something that's not really doable and is something too vague, but it is not a vague concept at all. The importance of me time, making me time every day, even if it is just half an hour, just learning to spend time with yourself. It is literally like making friends with yourself, learning to enjoy your own company, and getting to know yourself is the first step towards good mental health. Getting to know yourself, whatever it is. What do I like? What do I not like? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling like this? What is important to me in life? Where do I want to head in life? What are the things that are bothering me? Whatever. So the first step is start spending time with yourself. And in fact, do this every day. Spend at least half an hour. It's like have a date with yourself for at least half an hour every day. Just spending time with yourself mindfully, allowing yourself to get in touch with your own thoughts, your own feelings.
In case someone we know is going through any of these mental health problems, how can we reach out to them? How can we help them?
Senti, in this, let me answer it twofold. One is if that person, your loved one, is themselves aware and accepting the fact that, yes, they are going through some sort of a mental health issue, right? So in that case, the best approach would be just to be supportive and to accept the person. Do not judge. Do not say, oh, why are you doing this? I don't think you need help, and just let it go. Instead, be supportive and encourage them to speak, to seek help in whatever manner they want to. All right. The other aspect would be a lot of times we are able to sense or gauge that our loved ones need help, that something is going on inside their minds. However, they don't seem to be willing to accept it or realize it. So in that case, your role becomes to first encourage them to realize that there is no shame, there is no weakness in seeking help. On the contrary, it is a sign of strength. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to accept and to realize that, yes, I have too much of stuff going on in my mind, and now I am unable to process it on my own. I need to seek help. Okay, so in both manners, you have to be there for your loved ones. But in both cases, it is all about being supportive. It's about offering unconditional positive regard in a manner where you say, no matter what, we are here for you, we love you, and we would like you to get better and seek help in whatever manner you need to. So that is important. And again, in this, one more thing to understand is the first step is seeking counseling. Okay, so encourage your loved ones to seek counseling, because of course, the first step is get them to talk to you. If they talk freely to you and they're feeling better, great. But sometimes we ourselves feel incapable of helping our own loved ones, that I'm here to speak to you, but I don't seem to have all the answers. I don't know how to guide you further. So in that case, seeking the help of a professional counselor is the right way to go. Okay. So do encourage
Okay, ma'am. And finally, is there any word of encouragement or advice that you have for the person who may be experiencing burnout or stress in their daily lives and how they can prioritize their self-care?
All right, Senti. So I would say that one thing, the importance of mental health literacy, that is knowing what is mental health, understanding what is mental health. Let us stop being scared of it. Let us stop shutting our eyes to it. In fact, in this case, knowledge or awareness is the power that will give you the power to prevent and to keep yourself safe. Yourself and your loved ones safe from mental illnesses. Okay, so if you want to stay mentally healthy, gain more knowledge about mental health, become more aware of it. If you want, ask questions, read up, talk about it. A community, a society where we talk freely about it is the community which stays mentally healthy. The reason being that the one thing that goes wrong, if at all, is the fact that most of the times people don't even recognize that they need help, or they don't recognize that the loved ones need help. They don't even realize that this is a mental health issue, which if we seek help, it can be fixed. Okay, so I would say, let's get talking. Let's talk about it. So today, on World Mental Health Day, let's make a beginning where let's all of us talk freely about it, seek information and share information.
Thank you for sharing your insights with us this morning on the importance of mental health. It was indeed a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, ma'am.